When the strongest flame in the world met a man who devours flames themselves, destiny finally chose a side. If you enjoy the way I make my videos, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Countless pairs of eyes fixed upon the mountain range, and a low whooshing sound rippled through the air as the chief of the Hall of Souls stepped forward. Once the ferocious name he carried across the central plains alone was enough to make hearts tremble in fear. Though he had faded from public view due to his prolonged seclusion, time had failed to erode his fearsome reputation. On the contrary, it had only deepened its weight. If one were to rank the most powerful individuals in the Central Plains, Han Mi Sheng, chief of the Hall of Souls, would unquestionably occupy the very top. 2 draws in 3 battles. Stopping 1,000 feet away from Xiaoyan, the chief slowly lifted his head. A faint smile curved his lips, his aura calm and unfathomable. That result has surprised this chief somewhat. However, it will not change the final outcome. Xiaoyan met his gaze. Invisible currents surged between them, and the surrounding air seemed to grow scorching hot. One should always leave room for retreat, Xiaoyan replied calmly. Overconfidence in words often leads to regret. Hall Chief would do well to take care of himself. Haha. The chief of the Hall of Souls laughed loudly. The Hall of Souls leaves no survivors when it acts. Such cautious words are for mediocre men. If one hesitates over trivial concerns while pursuing great ambitions, one is merely being petty. The crowd felt their blood boil. This was the decisive battle of the day. On one side stood the chief of the Hall of Souls. On the other, Xiaoyan, who from a certain perspective was the true leader of the Sky Mansion Alliance. The outcome of their clash would determine victory or defeat for both sides. The clan has reproached me because of you. The chief continued, his eyes never leaving Xiaoyan. Back then, I ordered the capture of Xiaozhan in the Jiama Empire. My intent was to wipe out all traces, leave no survivors. However, this chief was in seclusion at the time. My subordinates grew lax and captured only your father. His gaze darkened. You survived the subsequent assassination attempts because they underestimated you. Step by step, within barely a decade, you reached this level. His eyes grew complicated. This threat to the Hun clan could have been erased long ago. Yet through a chain of unforeseen circumstances, we allowed it to grow at a terrifying pace. Now you stand on equal footing with the Hall of Souls. Setting aside their enmity, even the chief had to admit a trace of admiration. Had it been him enduring such hardship and climbing to the summit of this continent, would have been no easy feat. This chief bears undeniable responsibility for allowing you to grow this far. He smiled faintly. Thus today, I intend to erase that responsibility. I too intend to put an end to the Zhao clan's blood feud today. Xiaoyan's voice was soft, yet the murderous intent within it was unmistakable. He could never forget. The Zhao clan's collapse, his father's capture, the slaughter of his kin, their forced exile across the Jiama Empire. Back then he had been powerless, unable to protect anyone. All he could do was carry the burden of blood vengeance on a solitary path. That journey had tempered his will like steel and fueled an ever-burning hatred toward the Hall of Souls. The chief smiled faintly as pitch-black Du Qi slowly surged from his body. Then attack, he said. This chief is also curious to see how strong you've become after your fortunate encounter in the demonic flame realm. Bang! Before he could finish speaking, a low sonic boom exploded. Space itself trembled. A figure appeared before him like a ghost. Xiaoyan's fingers were curled, a pink flame dancing joyfully between them. The instant it appeared, the temperature of the world soared. The strike was blindingly fast. Even the composed chief flashed a moment of shock. Instinctively dense black Du Qi gathered and condensed into a shield before him. Xiaoyan's fingers pierced forward without hesitation. The pink flame instantly melted the shield, and his strike shot straight toward the chief's eyes. Humph! The chief of the Hall of Souls snorted coldly. He neither retreated nor defended. Instead, he slammed his palm toward Xiaoyan's chest, clearly intending a mutual exchange of lethal blows. So the Hall chief plans well. Xiaoyan laughed lightly. His hand shifted downward at the last instant, accurately pressing against the chief's palm. Pink flames flared. The black Dao Qi evaporated instantly. The chief frowned as the terrifying heat invaded his body. His form trembled, splitting into countless afterimages before reappearing high in the air. He stared grimly at his palm, where a half-inch burn mark remained. No blood flowed, The surrounding flesh had already been incinerated, as expected of the purifying demonic lotus flame. In the opening exchange, the chief had already been injured. Though minor, it was undeniably unsightly. Their clash had lasted no more than a breath. They separated as swiftly as they had collided, their movements ghost-like. Only a handful of sharp-eyed experts managed to follow the exchange. The rest could only stare in stunned awe, their hearts surging with shock and anticipation. Xiaoyan raised his head. Without a word, his hand seals changed at lightning speed. A colossal spiritual phantom, 10,000 feet tall, wrapped around his body. Yellow Spring Divine Anger. He did not dare underestimate such an opponent. Immediately after his opening strike, Xiaoyan unleashed one of his most terrifying soul techniques. More. The phantom roared, releasing a soul wave that tore through space faster than light itself. Xiaoyan, the chief, scoffed, retreating as black Dao Qi erupted from his body. Others may fear Yellow Spring Divine Anger, but this chief does not. Before countless astonished eyes, his Du Qi transformed into innumerable kneeling spiritual phantoms. Their faces were filled with fanatical devotion as they chanted in unison. 10,000 worshipping souls. Soul waves converged, forming a sharp arrow that shot forth and collided violently with Xiaoyan's attack. Woo! The mountains hummed violently. Experts paled as the spiritual shockwave crushed outward. Blood sprayed from mouths as many were forced to retreat in terror. Merely enduring the aftershock left them defenseless. The soul waves annihilated each other. The spiritual phantoms around the chief exploded one by one, until nothing remained, yet his body stood unharmed within the center. Xiaoyan frowned. This was the first time his Yellow Spring Divine Anger had failed to dominate. Their souls were evenly matched, both at the perfect heavenly state. Moreover, Xiaoyan had sensed it clearly. The chief's cultivation had reached the mid-5-star Dosheng level. He had grown stronger during the past 2 years. Your spiritual strength is formidable, the chief said coldly. Dispersing the final remnants of the soul wave, but using it to defeat this chief is nothing more than wishful thinking. Xiaoyan did not respond. He opened his mouth. A pink flame floated forth. In an instant, the forest ignited. Trees burst into flames before countless shocked eyes turning to ash as violent firestorms raged. The chief's pupils shrank. For the first time, deep solemnity appeared on his face. If the purifying demonic lotus flame invaded his body, even he would suffer severe injury. Ranked third among heavenly flames, it was no mere legend. This is my first time using the purifying demonic lotus flame against an opponent, Xiaoyan said, smiling faintly. I hope you won't disappoint me. The flame may be powerful, the chief replied calmly, but what truly matters is who controls it. As he spoke, a faint black flame flickered deep within his eyes, eerily abnormal. And besides, the purifying demonic lotus flame may be fearsome, but Xiaoyan's eyes narrowed. A strange fluctuation rippled from within little Yi's body. There is something inside him. Xiaoyan cast a deep, steady gaze toward the chief of the Hall of Souls, hovering high above. His hands bloomed like lotus flowers as they danced through the air, leaving behind countless afterimages. As the final hand seals were formed, the cluster of pink flames above his head let out a sharp swoosh and shot skyward, writhing violently before countless astonished eyes. A terrifying heat slowly spread outward as the flame churned, transforming the world into a colossal furnace. Mountains within the fallen mountain range ignited without warning, erupting into flames as thick plumes of smoke billowed toward the heavens. The Dao Qi of weaker cultivators began to boil. Worse still, those whose emotions fluctuated intensely were horrified to discover their bodies growing unbearably hot. The purifying demonic lotus flame possessed a dreadful ability. It could use one's emotions as fuel to burn the body itself. Panic rippled through the crowd as many hastily retreated. Only after fleeing beyond the mountain range did the searing agony subside. Horror was written across every face. As expected of the purifying demonic lotus flame, truly terrifying. Grand elders from surrounding sects stared with solemn, envious expressions. Facing an opponent wielding such a heavenly flame meant one had to resist its searing heat even before combat began. That temperature alone was enough to incinerate Dou Qi with ease. Xiaoyan has finally decided to use the purifying demonic lotus flame. Hun Mo Lao gazed upon the scene, his brows deeply furrowed. Even he would find such a flame troublesome. Although the chief of the Hall of Souls possessed a higher cultivation, a single lapse in judgment could still lead to defeat. This little fellow is truly blessed by fate. Hun Qianmo sighed. I once attempted to seize the purifying demonic lotus flame myself, only to return in failure, yet he managed to subdue it through sheer strength. He chuckled softly. Still, even with this flame defeating Hun Mi, Sheng will be no easy task. High in the sky, the chief of the Hall of Souls stared intently at the roiling pink flames. A grave expression filled his eyes, mixed with a strange surging heat. Before countless gazes, the flame slowly condensed into a massive pink fireplate. Its edges were carved with mysterious flame runes, each representing one of the 6 heavenly flames Xiaoyan had refined. At the very center, a crystal-like pink flame swayed gently, radiating annihilation. Angry Buddha reincarnation. Xiaoyan's gaze hardened. A low cry rang out. Buzz, buzz. The fireplate trembled violently, releasing waves of resonant hums as it began to rotate. Suddenly, puff, a pillar of pink flame no thicker than an arm erupted from the crystal core. Though slender, the flame expanded violently as it surged forward, swelling to hundreds of feet in the blink of an eye. The flame struck a mountain below. The instant it made contact, the mountain vanished, erased as though it had been sculpted from ice. All that remained was a bottomless pit, thousands of feet wide, so deep that no end could be seen. Go. Xiaoyan pointed sharply toward the chief of the Hall of Souls. The fireplate surged upward as the flame pillar carved a 10,000-foot chasm across the land. Everything it touched, stone, earth, air, was reduced to nothingness. The beam moved faster than lightning. To most observers, it was nothing more than a flash of pink light before it locked onto the retreating chief of the Hall of Souls. Mochi. Surrounded by the beam, the majestic Du Qi shielding the chief began to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye. Though Du Qi poured endlessly from his body, it could not keep pace with the rate of destruction. The current angry Buddha reincarnation, empowered by the newly refined flame, had reached a terrifying level. An ordinary elite Do Sheng would last no more than half a minute before their Do Qi was completely erased, and once that happened, even their soul would be annihilated. Shock rippled through the experts in the sky. Their gazes flicked toward the rotating fireplate, dread filling their eyes as they sensed the overwhelming extermination aura contained within the beam. If this continues, the chief of the Hall of Souls won't last long. That thought echoed through countless minds. Reincarnation Restrain. Xiaoyan's eyes turned icy, his hand seals shifted once more, and the fireplate suddenly began spinning in reverse. Buzz, buzz. The 100-foot-wide flame beam rapidly shrank dozens of feet. Then mere inches, yet its power did not diminish. Instead, an apocalyptic force condensed within it. This is bad. Han Mo Lao's expression changed instantly. His heart pounded as the beam shrank to the size of a thumb. Reincarnation Restrain falling. Reincarnation. A cold glint flashed in Xiaoyan's eyes. The beam locked onto the chief's forehead as he shouted. Swoosh! The fireplate collapsed in a crimson flash. That thumb-sized beam shot forward like a judgment from the heavens. Bang! A thunderous explosion shook the sky. Devastating fire waves forced even elite Du Shengs to retreat in panic, unwilling to risk even the slightest contact. It hit. Yao Lao and the others revealed flickers of joy. Even the chief of the Hall of Souls should suffer from such an attack. Yet the Pill Tower's ancestor frowned slightly, his gaze fixed on the explosion. Has the victor been decided? Whispers rippled across the mountains. Xiaoyan's earlier strike had been terrifying beyond measure. If nothing unexpected occurred, the outcome should already be sealed. The Hall of Souls stood in stunned silence. Han Qianwen merely chuckled, his hands tucked within his sleeves. Xiaoyan hovered in the sky, exhaling a breath of scorching air. His eyes remained locked on the dissipating flames. Despite his confidence, an inexplicable unease lingered in his heart. Puff! A faint sound emerged from the flames. He's not dead. Xiaoyan's expression darkened. Moments later, a black silhouette slowly formed amid the pink inferno. An eerie suction force erupted, pulling the scattered flames inward. Before countless disbelieving eyes, the purifying demonic lotus flame was drawn back, absorbed into the figure's body. What he absorbed, the purifying demonic lotus flame. Is he courting death? An uproar erupted. He's uninjured. Xiaoyan stared in disbelief as the chief of the Hall of Souls stepped out of the flames unscathed. The taste of the purifying demonic lotus flame is indeed exquisite. the chief said with a strange smile, smacking his lips. Unfortunately, it was not the essence flame. I truly wish to savor its core. A bizarre black flame flickered within his eyes, devouring abnormal. The surrounding energy was relentlessly sucked into his body and obliterated. Confused, he chuckled softly. You wield the purifying demonic lotus flame, yet this chief commands a heavenly flame even stronger. He raised his hand. A cluster of black flames appeared, writhing and forming a grotesque human face. From its mouth surged an overwhelming, devouring force. Xiaoyan's pupils shrank to pinpoints. The second on the heavenly flame ranking, Nihility Devouring Flame.